I've always been hesitant about spin-offs. There's obviously your outliers like Better Call Saul, but there's far more examples of spin-offs that have failed. Gen V, however, is a unique case. It's airing concurrently with The Boys, the show that it spun off from, which itself is a serialized story. Gen V doesn't just take place in the world of The Boys, it's going to directly tie into its plot for its 5th and final season. That just makes me think, why? From the start of The Boys, the show's had one core premise, and that's finding a way to kill Homelander. As far as I see it, there are 2 outcomes. 1, the characters from Gen V kill Homelander, robbing us of the entire build-up and character development from The Boys. Or 2, they don't affect the story at all. In which case, why are they even in the show? I'm about to spoil all of Gen V, so if you're still waiting to watch it, now is your time to leave. Gen V is the story of Moreau, a soup with blood powers that attends the prestigious Godolphin University, a college for the most gifted soups across the US. Over the course of the first season, Marie develops a core group of friends that, by the end, are split on the idea of soup supremacy, causing Marie, Andre, Emma, and Jordan to be locked in a soup containment facility, while Sam and Kate are celebrated by Vought and Homelander. When season 2 rolls around, Marie and the gang get freed from the prison, minus Andre, whose actor Chance Perdomo tragically passed away in a motorcycle accident. We learn that Marie was a part of Project Odessa, an experimental process to engineer godlike soups. There were only 2 survivors from the project, Marie and Homelander. Thomas Godolphin, who participated in the project in 1967, trains Marie in the current year to unlock her full potential with the ultimate goal of taking out Homelander. Marie and the rest of the gang patch it up with Kate and Sam and are able to stop Godolphin's plan by killing him. They then join Starlight and the resistance against Homelander, which is supposed to lead us into season 5 of The Boys. In case you forgot, after the end of season 4 of The Boys, everything from the government to Vought is under control by Homelander, who is purging any dissidents to his cause. Like I said in the intro, the way The Boys was always going to end is Homelander's death. The entire series, they've been building a conflict between Butcher and Homelander. They're destined to fight it out, and throughout the whole series, they've been trying to find a weapon that can kill the near-invincible Homelander. By season 5, there's a lot of things that could potentially defeat him. There's Soldier Boy, Ryan, the soup virus, even potentially the newly V'd up Butcher, and of course Marie. Out of all of those options, Marie is by far the worst choice for defeating Homelander from a narrative perspective. She, out of all of the options, has had the least involvement with Homelander and the story we've been following this entire time. She's had one interaction with Homelander at the end of season 1 of Gen V, which is hardly a compelling conflict. Let's run down our other options for killing Homelander. There's the soup virus, which serves as an extension of Butcher's characterization. This is what I see as the Scorched Earth outcome. Unleashing the virus will kill anybody with V in their blood, including Butcher, giving him the choice of killing all the soups, even the ones that he has a relationship with, in exchange for no one ever being a soup again. While I don't think this will be the way that they kill Homelander, I think it will be a decision made after Homelander's death. And if I were writing the show, it will be a fight between Huey and Butcher for releasing the virus. But nonetheless, it will be a satisfying outcome because it will be a choice our characters make. Then there's Ryan, who's torn between his biological dad Homelander and the last remaining piece of his mom, Becca, in the form of Butcher. This is also a great way of killing Homelander, provided that they set it up correctly. Narratively, it's tied into both Butcher and Homelander, with each trying to influence Ryan to make the decision that they want. It could go a lot of different ways. The guess I'd make is Ryan having to stop them both, which could connect to Butcher's new powers. Those powers by themselves aren't enough to stop Homelander, but now he's able to cause some real damage, and enough to motivate Ryan to get in the way. The core conflict between these 3 is what I hope is the heart of season 5. Soldier Boy killing Homelander would be the worst out of the 3, but it could still work. Since he's Ryan's grandfather, it would be revisiting the arc in season 3. I think that if they did go down this route, Soldier Boy would have to kill Butcher and Homelander, with Ryan then taking out Soldier Boy or joining sides with him. I'd much prefer that the Soldier Boy plot is resolved with somehow, as that conflict didn't get to play out fully in Season 3, but still not a bad option overall. It could be any of these routes, or it could be a combination of these ideas. Hey, you, stop! Why am I wearing a different shirt? Because I forgot to record this earlier, but please watch my Midlands Mayhem TV show. It's on my website. I'm really bad at doing a segue. Just watch it. There's 5 episodes. It's really funny and good at action. Woo! But should they choose those options, where does that leave Marie and the rest of the characters from Gen V? Well, I don't know, to be honest. No one from Gen V has any meaningful connection to any of the main characters from The Boys. So for them to have any utility within Season 5, they'll have to devote time to each of those characters and establish relationships with the boys. The show already has a ton of characters and ongoing plot lines to resolve. Butcher, Homelander, Huey, Starlight, Frenchie, Kamiko, Soldier Boy, Ryan, A-Train, Sister Sage, Firecracker, Ashley, The Deep, Black Noir, Stan Edgar, Victoria Newman's daughter, and Jared Padalecki's character. Then on top of that, throwing in 5 to 6 more characters from Gen V. With an 8-episode run, that's nowhere near enough time to develop these characters, while also trying to wrap up all of the storylines from the 4 seasons of The Boys. So if Marie and the crew are just gonna do nothing, why does Gen V exist? When Gen V started airing, I was hoping it had nothing to do with the plot of The Boys, and it had its own self-contained story that could be informed by The Boys, but wasn't required material. As the first season of Gen V progressed, it was clear that it was tying into The Boys, which I was concerned about. But then they did something really interesting. They set up Kate and Sam as secondary antagonists working for Homelander. And that's really cool. For those who didn't want to watch Gen V, all they'd need to establish is their power set. And if they are dealt with early in the season, it could help escalate the stakes. They unfortunately didn't stick with that decision, and undid it at the start of Season 2 of Gen V. But they had an opportunity to do something else interesting with the introduction of Thomas Godolkin. In Season 2 of Gen V, the principal of God U, Cypher, is secretly Godolkin, using this man's body as a puppet because his main body is incredibly damaged. He spends his time training Marie, as she has the capability to heal his body if she develops her powers enough. A compelling twist would have been Godolkin's plan working, making him another incredibly powerful soup in the mix for Season 5 of The Boys, with his own agenda. Especially since he and Sister Sage were working together, much like if they stuck with Kate and Sam as secondary antagonists. You'd only really have to establish his powers, and through his conversations with Sage, you could establish his motives. But Marie and all the gang defeat him, then aligning themselves with the Resistance. That sounds like a lot of doom and gloom, and it's definitely a tricky scenario to be in as a writer. But there's still a third option, and if I had to put my money on any of the things I listed happening, it would be this one. I think Marie and the entire cast of Gen V are going to die in the first few episodes of Season 5. This would be the best way to utilize those characters at the start of the season. Here's the pitch. The Resistance is gathering some momentum, and as things are looking up for our characters, all the hope is wiped away by a bunch of their members getting killed, a lot of them being the characters from Gen V. The stakes would be set incredibly high, because we know how powerful they are, and it would show Homelander and his crew to be a massive threat. We already know he is, but we haven't really seen it in action. It would have some amazing shock value, and would really throw the viewers for a loop. And best of all, it's not an issue if you haven't seen Gen V. Whether or not you have the backstory of those characters, the result of putting the core members of The Boys as underdogs with a massive threat to overcome will lead to some incredibly satisfying narrative climaxes when they come into conflict with Homelander. There's even some supporting evidence for this. In the Season 5 trailer for The Boys, the Gen V characters are suspiciously absent, along with the core gang of The Boys getting back together. There was also Karl Urban teasing major deaths as early as the Season 5 premiere. There's literally no one better to kill but them. When I started writing this, I was really concerned about Season 5 of The Boys, especially because that 4th season was rather weak. But thinking about it, there's potential for an incredibly strong opener for Season 5 that will reverberate across the rest of the episodes. I really want Season 5 to be good. I love The Boys, And while they haven't reached the heights that Season 1 reached, they can still pull off an incredibly satisfying end. They just have a very hot potato with the Gen V characters. It makes me really nervous, especially if they're going to utilize them in any other way other than killing them immediately. But maybe there's an angle I haven't seen yet. I guess we'll have to wait for Season 5.